Welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. As promised, we have the updated NFL playoff picture entering Week 15, and oh boy, is it a doozy. One team has clinched a playoff spot. Congratulations to the San Francisco 49ers, who clinched that spot thanks to the Packers' surprising Monday Night Football loss, part of a thrilling doubleheader, by the way. As it sits currently, Dallas over Philadelphia in the NFC East. For now, there's some asterisks tentative involved there. Lions is at the 3 seed. Tampa is the new 4 seed because they beat the Falcons. Vikings, Packers, the other spots in the NFC. For now, again, we'll go in depth here on these teams in a little bit. The AFC overview right now, the Ravens have a game lead in the number 1 seed race over the Dolphins, a 2-game lead over the Chiefs, Jags, and technically the Browns as well. And then there are 7 and 6 teams in the AFC: Pittsburgh, Indy, Houston, Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo. It's going to be chaos down the stretch for the playoff picture. We are inching closer and closer to those NFL playoffs. We will have you guys covered with consistent updates on the playoff picture, the clinching scenarios, and more. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Let's go to the NFC. We'll go in-depth on that, then over to the AFC. Niners have clinched their spot. Let's go to the division leaders here: San Francisco, Dallas, Detroit, and Tampa. The Niners have clinched that playoff spot. They have a chance, by the way, to clinch the division this week as well. Of course, their sights are set on more than just that. They want to get the number 1 seed. They have to keep winning. They will have tiebreakers over Dallas and Philadelphia in head-to-head, so ties are going to go in the Niners' direction there. They will formally clinch the NFC West with one of the following: a win versus the Cardinals, which should happen, or a Rams loss against the Commanders. Seems unlikely, but that magic number is down to 1 for San Francisco. Over now to the Dallas Cowboys, who for now have the number 2 seed over the Eagles. There's an asterisk on that. The Cowboys have it for the time being because they've played more division games. Both teams have one loss in the division against each other, of course, and that gives the win percentage advantage to Dallas. If and when the Eagles beat the Giants, when they beat Seattle, Philly would then take that spot back because they have all the other tiebreakers in their favor as things move along, because the Cowboys lost to Arizona, Eagles lost to the Jets. They had the NFC conference mark there. Dallas would clinch the number 6 seed with a win. They would clinch the 5 seed with a win and either a Lions loss or a Vikings loss. Either one of those, because it impacts the tiebreakers in terms of the NFC North and who gets the 6 seed potentially. Either of those gets the Cowboys in. They're going to be a playoff team. It's a matter of when, not if, and of course, what seeding they have. So who wins the NFC East this year? C for the Cowboys, E for the Eagles. We'll make that the pinned comments on today's video. If the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. The Lions, by virtue of a loss to the Bears, really had a big hit to their number 1 seed chances, their seeding chances overall. That one stings. They've got some issues right now on defense and on offense. They play Denver on Saturday, key game. Then 2 games against Minnesota. That's going to be their real chance to clinch the NFC North potentially, with a Dallas game on the road wedged in between there. Obviously, they're going to be a playoff team, and they can clinch this week as well with any of the following. Bear with me. All of these require, of course, a Lions win. A win and a Vikings and Seahawks loss. A win and a Seahawks and Packers loss. A win and a Seahawks and Rams loss. A win plus losses by Minnesota, Tampa, and the Rams. A win plus losses by Minnesota, Atlanta, and the Rams. And a win and losses by Atlanta, the Packers, or the Rams. It's complicated, I know. It's tiebreaker elimination stuff right there. But the Lions have a chance at least to clinch a playoff spot this week. They should take care of business in theory against Denver. Denver's played really good, though, so it's a key game to watch. But it's a matter of when, not if, they clinch a playoff spot. Are the Lions frauds, however, in terms of being a real championship? not played that great the past few weeks. They almost lost twice to the Bears. Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comments section. Let's go to Tampa now. Big win over Atlanta. They've got Green Bay, Jacksonville, then the games that matter. Saints and Panthers, which are going to be massive in terms of finding a way to potentially win the NFC South. Let's look now at the wild card race. And this is, the Eagles are going to be a team. We know the top 4 teams in somewhere are the Niners, Cowboys, Lions, Eagles. They're all going to be in. It's that 6 and 7 seed battle. That's going to be very interesting and very tight because technically the NFC South teams still have a chance to get 2 teams in. I don't know if we're buying that, but there's a below 500 team in there right now. All right, Philadelphia, loss against the Cowboys, a chance to bounce back in prime time against Seattle on Monday Night Football. Then it's an easy wrap-up schedule. Giants, Cardinals, Giants. Win those games. Eagles win out. They will get the minimum, the number 2 seed, if not the number 1 seed. They clinched the number 5 seed, by the way, with a win. They already have tiebreakers over others, plus it would take down a Seattle notch as well. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. If you're trying to buy last-minute tickets to a surprising playoff team fighting for a spot down the stretch, maybe for the playoffs themselves, Game Time is the way to go. You shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to your next big event. Sports, music, comedy, theater, etc., all near you. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats and deals. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code NFLChat for $20 off your first purchase. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Simply create your account after you download the app. Go to the app. Bottom right, you're going to see Profile as an option. Click Profile. You'll see some drop-down options on the left side of your screen. Click Redeem Code, then plug in NFLCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, of course, do apply, but the deal is available for you guys. Why not save some money the next time you buy tickets to a game? Download the app and use promo code NFLChat for $20 off. Thanks to one of the uglier games you shall see in the NFL, the Vikings took down the Raiders, and they're in pole position in the non-Eagles Cowboys section of the wild card race. Massive game against the Bengals on Saturday. Implications for both teams there. Then 2 games against Detroit, and then what very well might end up being whether it's an actual elimination game or a de facto elimination / clinching game, Week 17, home against the Packers. What a game that could end up being from a playoff implication standpoint. Meanwhile, Green Bay, after Jair Alexander swore they were going to win out, they lost to the Tommy DeVito-led New York Italians in Week 14. They have the Bucs, Carolina, Minnesota, and Chicago. So yes, they're 6 and 7. That schedule is not that challenging for Green Bay. Other teams in the mix here still. So the 6 and 7 teams that are still alive. The Rams, Seattle, Atlanta, and New Orleans. Now the Falcons and Saints, Tampa too, are still alive for the wild card race too. Now they're going to be focused on winning the division. All those teams kind of control their own destiny with some key conference games yet to go here. The NFC West, the way the schedule sets up has not been great for Seattle. In theory, again, the playoff chances are all that we've shown you guys based on the MI Times Upshot Simulator factors in spreads and outcomes and stuff, right? That's why the Rams are at 37%. The Rams' schedule has not been, man, the win over the Ravens would have been huge. Commanders, Saints, Giants, Niners. I think 37% seems low. I think the Rams can win their next 3 games, and I think 9 wins might be enough. Seattle, however, is in a much more challenging spot from that perspective. Eagles, which is, you got to think that's going to be a loss, right? Even at home. Titans, Steelers, that's a big game. Cardinals. I think you got to get to 9. I think 9 is the magic number here to at least lock in a playoff spot. 8 would probably come down to tiebreakers. Falcons, Saints, firmly in the mix in the NFC South with about a third chance each. Other quick notes here. Yeah, I'll make note of the Bears and Giants. Those teams not limited yet. Their playoff odds, however, are win out, and maybe you can backdoor your way in. Seems a bit unlikely. Bears at 8%, Giants at 2%. The Commanders and the Cardinals are not eliminated yet, but they will be soon. And Carolina, of course, already is. All right, the AFC playoff picture. Ravens have the number 1 seed for now, a game lead over the Dolphins, which does matter, but there's a big game to come. The Ravens have clinching scenarios this week. We'll break those down in a minute. They are actually the only AFC team with a clinching scenario this week, which sounds crazy, but there are 7 and 6 teams, so it actually does make sense. Key win over the Rams. Now, the Ravens have a daunting schedule down the stretch here. Jags on the road, at San Francisco, home against Miami, massive number 1 seed implications. Now, that might be a winner takes the number 1 seed game, and then home against Pittsburgh. That is a very tough slate of games. If they win out, they get the number 1 seed, but man, that is a gauntlet of 4 potential playoff teams, and frankly, probably at least 3 of them. Here's how the Ravens clinch a playoff spot this week, and yes, it is complicated. A win and one of the following. Browns and Bills lose. Browns and Broncos lose. Broncos and Bills lose. Bills and Steelers lose. Bills and Texans lose. Broncos and Steelers lose. Broncos and Houston lose. Complicated. Keep winning. The Ravens will get in. The Dolphins could have had some clinching scenarios, but they lost in I don't know how they lost that game. It's a 2-score lead with like 3 minutes to go. 28-27, bad loss against Houston. Now they got to beat the Jets, who are still fighting like hell for their playoff slim lives. Then a tough slate of games too. Dallas, Baltimore, Buffalo. The knock has been Dolphins can't beat good teams, right? Which I always hate that narrative, but whatever. Oh, you play 3 great ones down the stretch. Bills are a good team, by the way. Better than their record might indicate. The Chiefs, the number 3 seed after Kadarius Toney lined up a good full yards offsides. At the Patriots this week, that was going to be a primetime game. NFL said, no, we're not doing that. That's not fair to the viewers. They pulled that game out of it. Plug Eagles, Seahawks on Monday night instead. Easy slate of games for the Chiefs in theory. Patriots, Raiders, Bengals, and Chargers. You'd think they go 4-0. I don't think that's enough to get into the number 1 seed, but you never know with some tough games for Miami and for Baltimore. Back-to-back tough losses against the AFC North for the Jags against the Browns and Bengals back in Week 13. Then they get the Ravens now in prime time. That's a big game. Then the schedule settles in easily. At Tampa, home against Carolina, at Tennessee, they'll be favored in all 3 of those games. Who ends up getting the number 1 seed in the AFC? Now, the Browns are technically alive, but it does seem rather unlikely that they're able to pull that one off, even though Joe Flacco is back being elite. Sound off for me in the comments section. We'll come back to the AFC playoff picture and all those 7 and 6 teams. Here's where things currently sit with the Browns. They are the 5 seed. Massive win over Jacksonville. And a schedule that they control their own destiny. 10 wins, I think, will get you in. 9 wins, I don't know if it does. Maybe you come up short on a tiebreaker, but a lot of these 7 and 6 teams all play each other, so there'll be some delineation, some losses there. I think feel good about 10. 9 is, it's dicey. 11 for sure gets you in. Bears, Houston, huge game in Week 16. Jets and Bengals, who may or may not be alive at that point. Same with the Jets. I think that the Browns can win 3 of those games. That would be enough to get them in. That's why their playoff odds are so high at 86%. All right, now for the cluster of the playoff race here. Steelers, Colts, Texans, Broncos, Bengals, and Bills after Pittsburgh has dropped back-to-back games against teams they were supposed to win. 2 of the worst teams in football, Patriots, Cardinals. Pittsburgh is, despite being the 6th seed for now, of these 7 and 6 teams, have the worst, tied for worst, playoff probability in the AFC because now their schedule Well, it's not so easy. Colts in a, not really an elimination game, but just massive implications there. Colts, Bengals, Seahawks, Ravens. So you're playing 4 teams in the mix for the playoffs. That makes things very challenging from that perspective. The Colts at 44%, going to be a massive swing based on what happens this Saturday between those two teams. Falcons, Raiders, Texans. That Texans game could very well be a win and in scenario in the playoff race. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Houston has Tennessee twice, Browns and Indy, but uncertainty around the C.J. Stroud injury. Denver, meanwhile, Lions on Saturday. Tough game, but then Patriots, Chargers, Raiders. Denver's got a real shot to win 10 games this year by winning out down the stretch. The Bengals, again, Vikings game, massive implications against a defense that's played lights out as of late. Steelers, huge game there. That one might be a de facto elimination game if both teams lose this week, or at least massive swing game. Chiefs, that's going to be tough with no Joe Burrow. And then the Browns to wrap up the season. So not that easy for the Bengals. I think the Bills are the best of these 6 teams. But Cowboys, they're favored. Win that one, I think that they get in. Chargers, Patriots, Dolphins to wrap up the season. So 2 more daunting games for the Bills. Can they win 3 of them? We'll find out. Who do you think is the best 7-6 team in the AFC? Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Multiple 5-8 teams that have not yet been eliminated. That's fine. They have to win out. You're not going to get in there, 9 losses and get a bunch of help. It's the only way. And for example, the Chargers have a decent. They're the leading team from that perspective. To put the playoff odds in perspective, they can win out and still be under a 50% chance to make the playoffs. So these teams have to win out and get some noteworthy help to find their way in. The Patriots, by the way, eliminated from the playoff race as well.